Hello, welcome to the home of the Ghost Owl as we look at the Warhammer The Old World core rulebook and looking at the magic standards which are contained within. Magic standards in previous editions have been pretty key in some cases. Certainly when I look at 8th edition and Death Star units, for example, magic standard was normally a key part of making that a Death Star unit, whether it's keeping it alive or giving it some outrageous damage. So magic standards have been quite important. Typically, you're going to use it combined with a battle standard bearer, but magic standards, they're often sort of wide area effect. So you're affecting entire units or areas around the battle standard bearer and so on. So generally, can be quite important and always worth having a look at. So first up is the banner of Iron Resolve. Unit carrying this banner gains the Stubborn special rule. That can be quite good, special rule overall. Particularly if you've got some sort of anvil unit, you really just want to lock down the enemy who are charging it. You don't want them to be just fleeing all over the place. So it can be good. I think very specific to the unit, and I think very specific to a player's army list and strategy as to whether you would spend the points and take Banner of Iron Resolve, not one you just take willy-nilly and just throw it on anything. Moving down though, Razor Standard, giving an entire unit Armor Bane 2, that could be brutal. On any unit where you've got models which have multiple attacks, so an entire unit carrying 2 hand weapons, think something like Witch Elves, for example, Chaos Warriors even with 2 hand weapons, or basically any unit where you've got multiple attacks. And that will be the key to this one, because you want as many attacks as possible, because you want to be rolling as many dice as possible during the to wound phase, because the more dice you roll, the more 6s you get, the more Armor Banes you'll trigger. So for me, Razor Standard, a great standard on any unit that can put out a lot of attacks. Doesn't necessarily have to have high strength, doesn't necessarily have to have any AP at all. In fact, it works best on potentially units that have no AP, because you can turn a unit that's got no AP but lots of attacks into a really dangerous unit against units that have heavy armor. So I like this banner. Rampaging banner, unit carrying this banner may re-roll its charge roll. Again, another really nice banner. Great for cavalry, in my mind. Cavalry that have lances, because you want the bonuses to the initiative, because you want to strike first. You want the bonuses you get to the lance on the charge. So, Rampaging banner, failing a charge roll, how many times have you played games? And it doesn't matter if you've played 40k, whether you've played Warhammer Fantasy, or if you played Age of Sigmar. When you roll to make a charge and you fail the charge, and it can be absolutely game-changing because that was the critical charge. So yeah, this is great value. Like I say, for me, I'd really like to see it on a big unit of heavy cavalry. You could do a lot of damage, and ensuring that you get that charge would be key, would be absolutely key. So yeah, not bad. Only 5 magic standards, so I'm hoping there's going to be a lot more in the Arcane Journal, but the final 2 is the Blazing Banner. So unit gains flaming attacks. I'm not sold on spending a lot of points to get flaming attacks overall. Again, situational for me, and as I've said, I think with the magic weapon that gave flaming attacks as well, I'm not something I generally want to pay points just to get flaming attacks. Certainly not for an all-comers list. War Banner, however, giving a unit just a basic +1 combat result point, really nice. Again, I'm thinking about a unit who is going to be in the thick of combat, maybe holding the centre of your line, probably not necessarily the most expensive unit, but this is your anvil unit. Your unit is going to be fairly tough, and having that just +1 combat result just keeps them in the fight. Keeps them in there a bit longer. So War Banner could be a cheap way of doing that, by instead of going for something like Stubborn. Stubborn more reliable, but you're paying the points for it. War Banner, a +1 combat result, can really make the difference between just, are you going to fall back in good order? Are you going to give ground? That sort of thing. So War Banner I really like as a standard, but like I say, you're not just going to again throw that on any unit. It's got to be, you really, for me, want to target that on an anvil style unit that's going to sit there, be in the thick of combat, and you don't want it running away. That's the end of the Magic standards. Only 5. There was a lot of magic weapons. There's lots of other categories that seem to have plenty in them, but magic standards and talismans a little bit light. I'm hoping that they are augmented in the arcane journals, and we'll take a look at that when we get to them. But that brings us to the end of this video. If you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Let me know why in the comments down below. As always, if you want to see more content, hit the subscribe button. It's free for you to do. It's a big deal for me, so thank you for that in advance. Thank you to all those that have already subscribed. You've been watching The Ghost Owl, and I'll see you all very, very soon.